It was the third ransom note in as many days, the fifth in a week, but only the second that rang true.
Pembourne, the exchange will be made tonight, 11 p.m., 10 miles due south of Dartmouth, in the open waters of the English Channel. Take a small, unarmed boat. Come alone, accompanied only by the diamond. Heed these instructions or your sister will die.
Shoving the terse message back into his coat pocket, Slayde Huntley, the 9th Earl of Pembourne, gripped the wheel of his fishing vessel with one hand, simultaneously tilting his timepiece toward the dim light of the lantern. By his calculations, he'd travelled more than 9 of those 10 miles. He steeled himself for the confrontation ahead, manoeuvring the boat deeper into the fog-shrouded waters of the Channel, waters far too choppy for a boat this size. He should have brought the brig. Every instinct in his body cried out that not only was this craft unsuited for rough seas, its very construction left him utterly vulnerable to the enemy. But the kidnapper's message had been precise, and, instincts or not, Slayde dared not disobey for fear of jeopardizing his sister's life. Aurora. The thought of her being held by some filthy pirate made Slayde's skin crawl. For the upteenth time, he berated himself for falling short in his responsibilities, for allowing this unprecedented atrocity to occur. In the decade since he'd become Aurora's guardian, he'd successfully isolated her from the world, and, despite his own frequent and prolonged absences, ensured her safety by hiring an army of servants, whose fundamental roles were to keep Aurora occupied, and Pembourne safeguarded against intruders. Events had proven the latter easier to accomplish than the former. Still, as the accountings he received each time he returned bore out, seldom did Aurora manage to venture beyond her revered lighthouse without being spotted and restored to Pembourne. So how in the hell had this happened? Vehemently, Slayde shoved aside his frustration and his guilt. In a crisis such as this, there was room for neither. Interrogation and self-censure would come later. Now they would only serve to dilute his mental reserves, thus lessening his chances of accomplishing what he'd sailed out here to do, deliver the ransom and recover his sister. Ransom, the detestable black diamond whose legend had dug its talons into his past and refused to let go, whose curse haunted the Huntleys like some lethal spectre, a spectre whose presence did nothing to dissuade hundreds of privateers from stalking the coveted gem. Pondering the glittering black stone now wedged inside his Hessian boot, Slayde's knuckles whitened on the wheel. What made him think the claims in this ransom note were not mere fabrications invented strictly to procure the jewel? What if, like most of its predecessors, this message were a hoax? What if this pirate didn't have Aurora at all? Again, Slayde abandoned his line of thinking, refusing to contemplate the idea of returning home without his sister.